name is Flo Ngala. I'm a photographer and a creative from Harlem, New York. The first camera I owned was a Minolta, like X something. I forgot the model, but it was like a Minolta film camera, 35 millimeter analog film. 8th grade was the first time I ever picked up a camera, and then going into 9th grade, I did it. I did photography like throughout high school, but it was film. It wasn't difficult for me to navigate street photography back then because the areas that I was capturing and interested in capturing were my home. Like, I'm from Harlem, New York. That was my neighborhood. I was comfortable in this space, and I also was like young and a bit like fearless, so I wasn't afraid of the environment. I wasn't necessarily like intimidated. For me, at least, it's about like capturing moments. That's why I like shooting BTS. I think I like kind of being able to just move and not have to worry about like people knowing what's happening, just kind of seeing things and getting them in the moment, literally. I would say that my sense of fearlessness definitely came from my parents. I'm West African. My parents immigrated here in the 90s, and they just kind of like came and went at it. My environment being New York City, and then like being a figure skater, it's like you don't really see many like black girls figure skating, you know? So I think that felt like an act of defiance in and of itself. And so from a young age, I just didn't really give a fuck. I never really like entertained the idea of not getting where I wanted to be, you know? I think so much so that it was just like, you know, as I got older and realized like what manifestation was and like what that actually like meant, I was like, oh shit, that's what this is. Anytime I'm hit up or emailed or DM'd by whoever, it's really humbling and exciting. I was like, you know, how'd you find that work? I always like to ask people, and I encourage young artists to always also ask like how people come into contact with their work, just so you can kind of almost like a little bit of market research and know like how word is spreading. So at the top of this year, I started off shooting something for Netflix for the first time, which was really dope. And then I went from that right into like my first Rolling Stone job. I just shot a Billboard cover like 2 weeks ago, which was crazy. And then with the protests that have been happening, it's been kind of interesting, but also sort of bittersweet to see the work that's come from that. But then also like, I don't know, it's a little like, damn, I've never seen this many people at one time. I've never been part of like such big crowds. I've never seen rioting or looting or things being burned up close and personal like this. And I think it's super necessary to see and to feel, to understand how upset people are, to understand how serious this is. Photography aside, like I'm there first as a person who's in support of the movement. I'm there first as a Black woman before I am a photographer. I think I give myself a lot of shit for maybe feeling like I don't work hard that much, or like, I don't know, almost like imposter syndrome, which naturally comes to artists. I turned 25 like a month ago. You're in spaces and people are like, oh shit, like you did this and you're young and that and that. And so working for Gucci was the first thing that really, I guess, like kind of started to catapult my career a bit. When he first came out of prison in like 2016, I got to do personal photography for him. And then that turned into doing personal photography for Cardi. And then that led to like a bunch of opportunities with my portfolio. People were just like, oh shit, like, you know, how'd you get these shots? And that just leads to so many conversations. So I'm really thankful for the people I've met and the work I've been able to produce. And I always think it's so important to make sure the two are really aligned. I think a lot of people really want to be in the rooms, but you know, you have to really like set the precedent so that people can see your shit and be like, oh, this is hot. You know, like no questions asked. For me, the next step just kind of looks like figuring out how to really hold myself accountable to like those standards of excellence. It should be normal to be like poppin' and Black and young and gifted, and sadly it's not. So accomplishments are great, but ultimately like I think legacy looks like more than just like who you shot and what you did. It's really like how'd you help people? You know, like a Black woman literally gave me a chance at shooting with Cardi and Gucci, and like gave me my first flight to LA, my first flight to Miami, and so that's why I'm even in the position I am in now. So it's just about accomplishments, but also like the more important word is accountability to yourself and to like those around you. My advice to young shooters is, again, like just kind of making sure you come correct, making sure your shit is tight. you're trying to get hired and get paid and get in the rooms with the people who have been doing this for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Like, they've seen a lot of stuff, you know? So it's like, what are you bringing to the table that is super creative, super innovative? Are you able to provide like the most fire color edits? Are you able to get the most amazing shots in the least amount of time? What is it that you're bringing to the table, and like, is it good? Everyone's story is really, really different. And it's about timing, and it's about just being ready, so that way when your time comes, you can make sure you come correct. Yeah, and you can just run with it. So definitely just making sure you are super sound and confident. So like I said, when your opportunity comes and you meet that person, when that thing happens, you can just kind of like, you know, get it popping.